And I think there's, I'm gonna mute Miss Verlaine too. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming. And this was just an inspiration that kind of hit me at the last moment, just because of what I'm seeing with the people that I'm working with and so many common themes. I called this Ready to Get Clear on Your New Normal, because we've got all kinds of things happening now. There's so much uncertainty and everything. And what I'm seeing, and it's been so fun to work with people in cultivating the opportunities that are actually arising amidst this time. So I would hate for a good pandemic to go unused. You know, we've got this amazing opportunity with the entire world being on a global shutdown, and an opportunity for us to have this perspective. Nothing right now is operating as normal. So in this time of abnormal, I like to call it, from Young Frankenstein. I love Young Frankenstein, is one of my favorite movies. So this abnormal time that we have is a rare opportunity for us to be outside of the perspective of our normal status quo, so that we can get clear. We're getting different sensations. A lot of it is uncomfortable. And we have this opportunity now to redefine what, you know, this discomfort is actually showing us. Have you ever had something in your life where you weren't getting the message? And so the message, you know, they say the universe first will kind of whisper in your ear, and then it'll kind of tap on your shoulder. And if you're still not listening, you get the 2x4 right upside the head. So what kind of messages have we not been getting up until now that have given us, the entire globe, this 2x4 upside the head? So there's many different levels. There's how we are responding as individuals, and how we want to show up in our families, and how we show up in our community, our villages, if you will. And then on a global level, like what's happening with politics, and how we show up with the earth. All these different relationships are coming. Oops, people are waiting in the waiting room. That's what it is. Admit all. There we go. Come on in, guys. All right. Zoom has, oh my gosh. Thank goodness for Zoom, huh? It's been enabling us to stay in contact with one another. I, for one, I could tell you my struggles, because I live here alone, and I'm able to recognize what an extrovert I am. And it's just been fascinating to sit in what I call the observer's perch and watch myself struggle with some of the ways in which this being aloneness has really struck a chord with me. You know, how am I choosing to create relationship or not? You know, I kept thinking that it wasn't important, and it's like, maybe it's a lot more important than I gave it credit for. So that we'll go through some of this. So, oops, how do we forward amidst? There we go. So just a little bit of humor. This was circulating on Facebook, but dear 2020, none of this shit was on my vision board. And, you know, this is true of manifesting on any level. Oftentimes the things that we're asking for in the future also aren't going to show up as we, you know, imagine that they will. So how much of this can we use as clarity to ask for what we want, and also stay open, knowing that it's not going to show up as maybe. And is this, oh, I might hit you. Okay, I think I got it. So yeah, so how much of this just really wasn't. And again, to me, I don't think we can revisit the serenity prayer enough. Just this time to, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to focus in and change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So that's just a quick inspiration. This is what I've been finding. I love this picture because to me, it helps put a visual. I think so many of us are visual, and optimally, when we are balanced and aligned with our values, and we're in purposeful action in our lives, the flow of energy is going to look like this. That's what perfect would look like. Unfortunately, we're kind of in this human experience, and a lot of times we have, and especially in those childhood days, we've experienced different situations that kind of knocked us off center, if you will. So much of that happened in our childhood formative stages when we were trying to figure out how we fit into this world and who we are. Some of the core issues and these are ones that are super topical with when I work with clients. I do emotional release work, and regardless of what the manifesting behavior is that we're looking to improve upon. So people maybe are over giving and they're losing themselves in relationship, or they are maybe stuck in jobs that aren't serving them because they don't have the confidence to step out of something they see as secure. Maybe it's for money. Maybe they're not seeing their true value, and so they're not playing a big enough game. So these were the core issues that kind of before this whole, the Corona times kind of descended upon us. When you look underneath all of those behaviors that are coming up, oftentimes they are either in agreement and alignment with something that maybe we, limiting belief we thought to be true. Bubba, come here. Or they're in resistance and reaction to something that happened in a childhood days. And that's what this picture kind of represents, is maybe in the childhood days you came to some kind of bypass, if you will, where you first thought like, wow, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, and now I'm going to show mom that I can be a good girl and I can get the good grades, and we create these behaviors and patterns that are in reaction to that. Like I know a couple of my meeting planning friends are on this line. So great meeting planning people are really based on looking for perfection. How are we going to make that meeting as perfect as possible? But oftentimes that drive for perfection or just not feeling enough is actually rooted in things that happen to us as in our childhood days. And to some extent, those behaviors can be really effective, like makes us great meeting planners. And yet to its extreme, if we're looking for perfection, which is unrealistic, that can also drive us nutty over time. So this is what happens over time, all these dents and bruises over time. Now energy and positivity is not able to flow in our bodies and in our lives as smoothly as we would like. So our goal is to get into a relationship, and I want to call this time a real golden opportunity for us to sit with our emotions that are coming up right now. So think about, how are these emotions of feeling not worthy or maybe abandoned or not loved? For me, one of the situations that happened, I've got some friends, because I'm single, and they're like my extended family, Michelle and Ed. If you know me, you've heard me talk about them. But they, as a family, because her son, who's 23, came home, and along with his girlfriend who has some immunocompromise, and they shut me out of the house, which was a good decision as a family. But it was interesting, again, to watch myself. And this is a skill that I've cultivated for myself through meditation, of recognizing we are not our emotions. So it's an opportunity for us to sit in watchful, curiosity of the emotions that are surfacing right now. So when they made that decision to kind of, safeguard their family by not having outsiders in, to me, I felt locked out. And it took me a good day and a half to get over that, like not feeling kind of abandoned and not feeling loved, like I didn't matter to them. And it was an excellent opportunity for me to recognize not only what was happening right now, but to go back and recognize, where did I first feel abandoned? Where in me is still alive this feeling I'm not feeling loved and that I didn't matter. And so it was a great opportunity for me to craft an email, a very heartfelt email of what was real for me. And that's something I recognize I'm not always good at, because my fear of abandonment, I oftentimes will not express myself as fully as perhaps I need to, so that people understand what it is that I need. And how can they meet your needs if you're not able to tell them, wow, I felt felt outside of the family, I could have felt discarded and not important. So, and a lot of times how much of that was just really a story I was creating in my own mind that wasn't anywhere near the truth. So it was awesome, because we came to this, real super great understanding, and now I can be locked out. I can find different ways to connect with them in ways that makes it things. So these were the core unworthy, abandonment, and not loved was the core issues underneath the sessions that I was holding before. And now, because of all the uncertainty, like there is nothing that is certain in these days right now. And so the common emotions that surface are the feelings of anxiety and fear, feeling unsupported. Oftentimes we're struggling against the circumstances, you know, like outside that serenity prayer, trying to change things that we really don't have control over. And so anger can happen, and out of control. People are feeling out of control. So that too can spark emotions that it's a little scary. It's uncomfortable because there are type A people out there. You know, how many of us have you know, to what degree are you type A and really feeling lost in this ability to not control what's going on? And so along that lines too is this feeling of helplessness. So again, just I like to keep this visual in. So when we do, my intention through this call is just to share some different perspectives, share some tips and techniques that you can incorporate right now, and help you to understand where we are in this flow, but recognize too, you know, there's a lot more uncertainty and instability in the stock market coming, all these, you know, serious concerns. And yet amidst that, how can we ground in ways that keep us being able to have some peace and calm amidst the chaos, if you will. So I like this little picture of radio, because the old-fashioned ones, when you kind of turn the dial to the left and you got and you turn it to the right and you missed it again, it's that dissonance, the same issues that we were having before, the emotional issues, the needs that we had that we felt unmet before. If we didn't clean them up, which maybe we didn't, and now the call from the universe to clear this up is getting louder and louder. So I call it the dissonance times 10, that this pandemic has kicked up everything to times 10, the dissonance of the static, if you will, on either side of that, so that we can dial in for our lives what is going to be in alignment for us as we move forward. Maybe some of the things that we've loved up until now just aren't going to fit for us anymore. So it's an opportunity for us to kind of pull those bits apart and recognize what bits of that worked for me and which did not. I feel like we're in the third wave, if you will, of the emotions. It's almost like the stages of death and dying. So first we kind of had that denial and disbelief, like this can't be as big and real, and like this is just China's problem. Then we got to the point where things got real, and you know, March Madness was canceled and all those other things. Companies were closing their doors, and you know, some companies had to furlough employees. So very scary time. So fear and overwhelm were happening at that point in time. And, you know, one thing I want to underscore is to recognize that emotions, they are frequencies and they don't go in a linear pattern. So I invite you to have a higher level of compassion and with what's coming up, rather than what we've been programmed to do in this society, not honoring emotions. We kind of felt like if you're emotional, then you're out of control and you're not you're not stable, if you will. Recognize that emotions can actually be messengers for us. So I invite you to sit with the emotions, get the message that they're here to deliver. And when we integrate and properly process that emotion, get the message, they will move right on out of the body and restore a little bit smoother flow for us again. So the first level, coping, and this is some of the things that we can integrate on our daily schedule, if you will. Creating some kind of schedule for yourself is going to be really key. There's a lot of great information out there, so I'm just going to run through this particular slide pretty quickly, but it's important enough because, like I said, the emotions don't move in a linear fashion. You're going to be in stages of, I'm going to call it next level coping, of where we've taken care of some of our primary needs. And so now we've got this opportunity to open up and ask ourselves what matters. But this is what we need to look for first, of making sure that our core needs are met, and how like self-care is of the utmost importance right now. So how are you doing before this hit as far as committing to self-care? How are you doing right now as far as self-care? And if you were waiting for somebody to give you permission, because I think oftentimes we're kind of in this societal programming that it's better to give and take care of everybody else before we take care of ourselves. And now to me, one of the great global themes is the necessity, kind of like the airplane, like put your own mask on first, and then you're able to help other people. Again, this is times 10. We really, really need to dive deep into this bit of self-care. And because we're all individuals, another thing that's happening in this global, well, it's probably more on a cosmic level, is the shift from the divine masculine into a period of divine feminine. That means divine masculine is kind of that rational, I think of it almost as this mental capacity to work hard and figure things out and strive for, perfection and these things, still very valuable skills. And yet at the same time, this is this crazy dawning of the age of Aquarius, this divine feminine approach that's coming to life. And that's one of the core themes that I teach in La Femme Salon, which is the 10-week program that's coming up, but how to embrace that divine feminine female within us all. And it goes for men and female. We have all got this capacity for both, but we get to widen our capacity to have a divine feminine flow in our lives, that space where we're taking time for self-care, that time when we're honoring our relationship with our bodies. We understand that desires that are coming up now are ways in which we are called, our unique souls are called here to serve and blossom and just be the unique souls that we came here to be. So how do we incorporate that over the course of the day? So again, just kind of quickly, keep a schedule. For me, I've recognized, and sleep is on here. So move your body every day. If you did it once a day before, you might want to consider adding a second or a third time into there. We just need an extreme amount of movement right now. Movement, using our bodies is a way to change our physical state and allow all the pent-up emotions to be released. And next is recognizing that our sleep's going to be kind of wonky here for a while. It's funny, I recognize for myself that around 8 o'clock at night, I feel like I could just fall asleep and I'll start doing something and all of a sudden it's like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, which is late for me. I know Harlene's on here. She's my night owl here. But for me, it's best for me to have a schedule of in bed by around 10 and get up early. I like morning times because I'm plugged in and motivated at morning. Everybody's individual. So find your own rhythm. And again, that's one of the divine feminine things. Create this rhythm in your life. The morning routine can set yourself up to win the whole day. So these are all elements that almost can be achieved first thing in the morning. So the schedule, moving the body, getting that sleep, healthy diet. Guys, if I had one thing to say how to keep your body healthy make it uninhabitable for coronavirus to come, is to keep your body in an alkaline state. That means, Grandma was right, eat your veggies. Fruits and veggies are good. Fruits tend to be detoxing, so we don't want to go overboard on the fruits right now, but alkalinity is key. If it's hard right now because you're not going to the grocery store all the time, I have a green drink, and there's all kinds of different types of things where you can get super concentrated greens, but alkalinity in the body is going to be the number one thing because of the way the protein of the virus actually goes in and attaches to the cells. It requires an acidic environment in which to do that. So if you could just keep your body alkaline, that's core. The other thing that makes your body acidic is fear. So again, this theme is going to keep coming up of fear and stress just are not welcome in our bodies, in our psyches, and in our world right now. So everything that you can do to balance fear, for me, a big one is connecting in nature. So getting out, spending some time, hug a tree, whatever you need to do. We all recognize that a little overexposure to media can also, that there's a lot of fear that can be spread as they're asking the questions that are driving their ratings, can also put us on edge. Sorry about the notices that are popping up. reach out to others. Guys, another huge message that I think is happening globally is that we are all interconnected, and it's amazing when you feel your spirit starting to dip, or you're feeling especially alone, or just reach out to someone. I like to ask myself, what's 3 or 4 people that I can reach out today, and it could be as simple as recording a little message on the phone and sending that way, or a funny little picture. My sister Diane sent me some pictures of my 3 sisters graduation pictures, so that was fun to see. Again, ask for what you need. Like with my friend, for me to have stood up, which I normally would not have done, and said, hey, I really feel shut out. What's going on here? So stand up, even if your needs seem like they're irrational or immature or whatever they are. There's no feeling that's unwarranted right now. Honor everything, or like Matt Kahn says, whatever arises, love that. And then be compassionate with yourself. Just be patient. And again, calibrate yourself. How are you doing from day to day on the self-care? Am I a level 5 today and I need to kick it up to an 8 or a 10? What are those things that you can add? And I'm sure there's other things. We each have our own rhythm and our own needs, our own ways of doing that kind of a thing. This is what I really wanted to focus on today. And this is what I'm calling next level coping, because it's this next wave. Like, our core needs have been taken care of. We've got all the food, we've gotten, the work situations have moved. Maybe we're working from home, maybe you're furloughed, whatever. Mentally, we've been able to come up with the, what this Abby normal time frame looks like to some extent for ourselves. And so this next level coping is really now, how are you focusing? Where are you choosing? At any moment in time, we have the ability to decide where we're going to put our attention, and also what meaning we're going to assign to it. So are you looking at this as, I'm locked down and fight against being locked down, I want out, I want freedom? Or can you create a perspective of, now you've been granted this unprecedented opportunity to focus on what matters most? And to me, this is an amazing gift, because it's just not something we oftentimes give ourselves the freedom of time to set aside and really contemplate. What are those elements in my life that are working for me still? Maybe there's things that we've been doing for a long time that have been great up until now. I did a job change 6 years ago when I got the calling to start being a health coach, and then this emotional work that I'm doing. There were elements that I loved about my meeting planning world and those other elements, and yet there was a higher calling that was coming at this point in time. So I was able to take actually I couldn't ignore it. And I think sometimes that's what's happening right now. Are you getting the 2x4 upside the head about something that's been calling to you, that you haven't been listening to, that maybe needs to be addressed now? And maybe your days are really busy still now, but what is it that's coming up that needs to maybe be recalibrated, or the mix needs to change somehow? So where you focus and what meaning you assign to it really matters right now. What I'm saying is that this moment requires an elevated approach to being present without pre-programming the assumptions, the attachments, and the expectations that we've had up until now. So it's almost this ego to some extent of what we've maybe identified ourselves as up until now, that it was who we were, that gave us connection and significance. But maybe those things need to be recalibrated. What assumptions are we using that maybe aren't true right now? What are we attached to? Like, what could you let go of that would open up completely new possibilities? And what expectations do we have about this time? Like, hey, we're in global lockdown and we've got a pandemic, like nothing's happening and the stock market's going to be a mess. Well, yeah. And what other questions can we use at this time to open up different possibility for ourselves? I love this picture. It, to me, represents so much. And the practice that I believe we need to get in at this point in time is one of and I'm going to use the M word, it's meditation. And meditation, unfortunately, has been given a lot of connotations that are challenging. You know, how do you sit quietly and have nothing in your brain? And I don't believe that's what meditation is at all. To me, meditation is the goal of becoming centered and calm within ourselves, connecting with our roots into Mother Gaia, our earth. It's so exciting right now because I heard a statistic from Pachamama out of South America saying that there's been more in the last 6 weeks to help with restoring and regenerating the earth than has been done in the last 6 or 20 years. 6 weeks versus 20 years. The earth is actually a living conscious being too, and it's happy for our contribution of energy of any sorts. Oftentimes I think we judge energy like these emotions that we don't want to release from our bodies because we think that they're negative emotions, and maybe they are for us because they're lower vibration. But the earth isn't judging energy in terms of positive and negative. It's just seeing energy as contribution, and it's able to recycle, if you will, or regenerate based on the energy we're willing to give it. So one of the things I like to do is just to think of contributing all that no longer serves you right to the earth, allowing it to go down. And we'll do a little visualization to go along with this to cement this in for you. But just recognize that our grounding can come through the earth. So here we are kind of grounded, here we are kind of centered. She's open and receptive. So there's 2 modes. When tragedy like this can happen, we can go into fear, which closes us down and puts us in a state of protection mode, or we can go into open growth mode or creation mode, which is open, and we can stay open to the possibilities that are around us all the time. So that's the other part of this picture that I love so much, the sacred geometry she's got, is that when we remain open, we're actually able to connect with the infinite possibilities that are around us all the time. And to me, that sacred geometry also recognizes how we are connected to everybody else on the planet as well. The meditation that was just done last weekend of the million points of light. All of us are light beings. We've got a spark of the God source in us. And what if we could clear the way using the extreme contrast that's coming up right now to bring us greater clarity about who we are and how we want to show up, allowing that to ground us in the light spark that we came here to be. And then by us generating through self-care and this meditation, these practices we create for ourselves of lighting our own light so that we can, we all elevate together. The more light we can shine. What's that beautiful quote by Howard Thurman is, go find what it is that lights you up, because what the world needs most right now is people who've come fully alive. So I love that quote. In this day of here's some of the core needs that we have as humans, is that super core need to feel safe, to know that we're supportive. As we elevate up, we want to become the creative expression we came here to be. We want to show up confident in who we are, feeling good in our skin, knowing our value. And then to me, it's a sense of wholeness. And again, that picture so well captures that sense of wholeness. In these times, we're kind of in unprecedented times where nothing is familiar, nothing feels certain, we're out of control to some extent. So this is a powerful time for us to source new ways of feeling these things. How can you feel safe amidst uncertainty? How do you feel supported when things are changing every other day? How can you feel creative when all you want to do is shut down and succumb to the fear that's so prevalent right now? Where does confidence even fit into that formula, right? And how do we cultivate a sense of wholeness right now? To me, the answer lies in becoming grounded in who we are, so that we're confident in that being, that knowing we're always supported by the universe, connecting our confidence to the things that are not changing right now. And to me, that's that higher self, that connecting with our, whatever you want to use for God's source, that the universe source, everything is working out on our behalf. So emotions and how we show up for ourselves. This is just the key. Anything is coming up wants to be seen, heard, and understood. Again, going back to the story of my friend Michelle, you know, my feeling was that I was unloved and discarded. So all I needed to do was for her to see and hear me out so she could understand how I was feeling. And so this is an amazingly simple concept that we can apply to relationships of all sorts. So I put down here a relationship with our own emotions. Can you sit quietly back and watch the monkey mind of these emotions that keep surfacing and ask? Just sit quietly without judging it, without putting meaning to it, without, you know, trying to quash it with, you know, we might want to stress eat or other ways of just dissipating that charge. Can you sit with it and hear the message and try to understand what need was unmet now and in the past that you can now kind of mother yourself back to, you know, what love do you feel you didn't get at that point in time, or what, you know, appreciation was missing at that point in time that you could now invite into your, give to yourself now. We want to receive compassion from others. I was able to receive compassion from her because she was seeing and hearing and understanding where I was coming from. And then on the same way, we want to give compassion to other people, because there's going to be people who are going to freak out. We are, what, 3 weeks into this lockdown, if you will, and it's going to get dicey because the people who are not able to channel their emotions into more positive ways or process them out of their bodies are really going to go stir crazy. And you think the hoarding of toilet paper was bad when some of these other core things happen right now? What if these things get escalated and the emotions are going to be so charged over time? There's going to be some people who really need us to show up. If we can just show up and listen to them. I think we've all been in customer support type scenarios, and meeting planning would be an excellent time when you get to see people who are rattled because, you know, the band hasn't showed up yet or something. If you can just see that person with who comes to you, they're disturbed, just see them, hear them out. Like, what is their real concern? And really understand what it is that they need at that moment.
Kathy, where are you?
Kathy, you're lost.
Kathy.
I think she lost her internet.
A little break.
Kathy!
Can you see me now?
We can see, but
oh, look, it's there
you are.
now we can hear you.
All right, let's try it again.
Where are
That's
you?
interesting because
There you are.
It clicked and all of a sudden
All right,
okay. Kathy, where are
yeah,
you?
so since we're all, does like to share it? Can you see me now?
I can, yeah. I can see you.
Yeah, can you see me now?
No.
Okay. I can see
so
you.
Actually, since we had that little break, is okay. Can you hear me too?
I can hear you.
All right. Can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me too. Okay. So, hi, Leah. Is there anything, since we just had that break coming up, that you guys would like to share, or any special concern, something like maybe there's an emotion that keeps coming up that you just can't seem to cope with at this moment? Anyone?
For me, it's like malaise, just like apathy.
Picking up a bit.
Sometimes I feel really connected, and other times it's like, I just really don't care.
I feel like it shares a lot.
Yeah. And so
It's breaking up. I can't hear.
Can you
what
hear
was
us?
that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear this.
Okay.
I feel that whenever I'm out, I need to buy
Yeah, I
extra
can hear you.
neighbors.
I didn't hear you. What did
No?
you say?
Oh, you're taking care of your neighbors?
Yes.
So Diane was saying that when she goes out, she's has a wonderful need to buy extra stuff so that she can give to the neighbors.
Oh.
I have a lot
That's
of
awesome.
older neighbors.
Good one. Does anybody else have? Yeah, that's great. And it's a great way to reinforce the needed and loved. So let's, oops, lovely. Now I'm not able to forward. Hi.
They were frozen.
So one thing to presence is, you miss somebody. All right. Oh, it's frozen. Oh goodness. Well, maybe. Anyway, so one of the great invitations of this time is for us to understand that it's great to
Can't hear you.
I
can't. I can't hear
so
you either.
can, can anyone hear me? Actually, if you could, yeah, actually, can you write in the chat? Dun, da, da, da. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Actually,
Keep freezing.
all right. Okay, thank you. So, oh no. Just give it a minute. I don't know what more to allow it to do. All right. I'm going to hope that you can catch enough of this to have it make sense. So there's an organization called HeartMath that is very dynamic, and they are a scientific research organization, a nonprofit that's been doing research around this concept of heart coherence. And what coherence is talking about is a nice, like we think of times of nice flow. And so when we talk in terms of heart coherence, it's when our heart and our mind have a nice flow of communication between the two. There's a process I want to take us through, but it's interesting some of the statistics that they've come up with, because our bodies are electrical beings. We actually have frequencies of magnetic frequencies as well as electrical frequencies. And they've been actually able to measure these and show science that the heart is 60 times stronger electrically than the brain, or 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. So one of the, oops, hold up a second, we got somebody else fell off. I need to admit her. Okay. Yeah, so when we think in terms of getting in our monkey mind of fear or dread or overwhelm or these things that can pop up, if we can just, I like to think of taking the mind and seating it in the heart space. The heart is actually the home of intuition. It's the space from which we connect with the world around us, if you will. And when you think, I like that number of 5,000 times stronger magnetically, when we think of using our intentions, it's going to radiate goals and create a logical plan, almost like that masculine approach to creating versus the intuitive space of creating that intention of, I'll use myself. So if I want to attract a loved one, then I'm going to hold that intention in my heart space and radiate it out from there. I just wanted to do a quick heart coherence because I think we all need to tool up with some ways, because those moments of fear are going to come, and we always have the opportunity to, with our breath and with our intention, focus into our heart space and allow that to expand out. So when you think of heart and positive emotion of heart is actually a higher frequency than fear. And when we get into that space of gratitude, or think of something joyful or love,
Yes.
that actually the emotions of fear. So let's just do a little heart coherence here. We can sit up and begin breathing nice and deeply, thinking, maybe even put your hand on your heart and begin breathing deeply into that heart space. Allowing the heart to get bigger and bigger with each inhale. On each exhale, allowing yourself to just release the things that no longer serve you. Maybe it's that feeling of malaise, the ways in which we're judging ourselves for feeling that way in the first place. Inhale. Now picture something of beauty. We had some beautiful snow here in Colorado. Maybe it's the beauty of somebody you've been Zooming with. Heart space. Your new kiddo. Allow that joy to expand in your heart space. Breathing it in. Now your heart is filled, and now it's overfilling, and it's spilling, rippling down feelings of joy and appreciation into all of your body, from your feet, filling your legs, filling your hips into your core, shoulders, out your arms, feeling of joy just spilling over, filling the head. Maybe it's like a little fountain that spurts right out the top of your head. Breathing in beauty, joy, the love connection. Knowing this to be the wellspring that's available to us anytime. And as you come back, you can see that just in the matter of a couple moments, we've been able to know how that was for you. Actually, if you want to write into the chat, I'll see if I can pull my chat up. What kind of feelings came up for you? Is it calm or centered, grounded? And write that in the chat for yourself of how that felt for you. And just recognize the power of our focus in just a minute or two, how quickly it allowed our body to calibrate into a space of more space, more calm, more ease, kind of a thing. That's available to us all the time. Calm's good. Hopefully we're not going to break up anymore. So this is the kind of thing I share with it in the film salon, is like, I encourage everybody to take some time to find different ways of doing this type of technique for yourself. Not everybody's going to resonate with mine. And now my screen is going to freeze. There we go. And one thing, whoops. Okay, so to me, meditation is so important right now. The word meditation actually means awareness. It doesn't mean silencing the mind completely. It's certainly about creating awareness with the relationship of what's coming up for us, and recognizing, putting us in that observer seat, so that we're not identifying ourselves, that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions, We are not our circumstances. We are this crazy physical body designed to have a human experience, and our perception of that can change. So as soon as we make that shift of knowing that we are not what we're identifying with necessarily, it allows us this space to create a new focus and put a new intention on what's showing up. So meditation to me, like they say, praying to God is when we're speaking to God. When we meditate or when we silence our mind is when we open space for God to speak to us. So to me, it's sitting quietly, allowing the emotions or the chit chat, the monkey mind, the ticky tickies to come up and just be with them with curiosity of like, oh, wow, why is it I feel I got to review my shopping list for the 5th time? Why is it that negative charge from yesterday is popping up in my psyche again? And just like, oh, interesting. So you kind of watch it on the ticker tape kind of come into your awareness and create that ability to allow it to just pass through. And once you practice, so meditation is a practice, and something you only need to do for like 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. That doesn't have to be this big sit in lotus position for half an hour kind of a exhaustive practice. If we can just allow ourselves, and again, because of the extra crazy charge we've got on these days, if we can allow ourselves, maybe do it a couple times a day for 5 or 10 minutes, sitting quietly to see what's popping up as the loud chirping that feels like it needs to be addressed, and asking yourself the question, what's underneath that? What is this really important? Was this something that's been important up to now, but now it just isn't? So what can you let go of now in order to open up space for new possibilities? For me, this is the key. So when we think in terms of the new normal, like, what do you want your new normal to be? The very first question, I like to think of anywhere we're coming to conclusions, we're actually putting meaning and oftentimes drawing those conclusions from what's been happening in the past. So if we're looking to create this new normal, what questions can we ask to open up new opportunities, new creation, get creative with what's coming down the pikes next? I put this first question, it's so important to ask right now, like a dozen times a day. When we're feeling angst coming up about something, ask yourself, who does this belong to? Because again, we're energetic beings, we're connected to everybody. The collective angst is so kicked up right now. Oftentimes in my sessions, when I'm asking clients this question right now, I'm seeing big numbers, like bigger than normal, 65%, 80%, 95% of this angst or malaise or, whatever it is that's kicking up for people isn't even theirs. So when you wipe the slate clean of everybody else's mental caca, now you can focus on what's important for you. The other thing is the next question, in this 10 seconds now, what can I choose? So again, getting super grounded in how you're showing up right now. Maybe I would choose to be a role model for others, amidst my feeling stir crazy, being isolated. What I want to show up is as an inspiration for others. So that's why I put this stuff together, and I'm trying to share some of these tools that work well for me. That's in my 10 seconds. Just recognizing in that 10 seconds, I can choose again. The things that we've defined as real and important up until now maybe aren't going forward. So what can you choose in that 10 seconds? And then that 10 seconds, and keep calibrating upwards so you get to this higher perspective of where you want this new normal to be. The big one, and this would be fun, I'd love to hear from you guys, and if you could put into the chat. I think we've been 3 weeks into this now. There's already been gifts that are showing up right now. Can you drop a line or two in the chat of what's been the gift in this for you? Diane mentioned connecting with neighbors and being a support for one another there, giving and receiving support. I love seeing on Facebook the pictures of families who are coming together and sharing meals around the dinner table again. So they're listening to one another. They're present once again for each other. I've heard people, oops, there's that. There's time with your dogs. I like that, Joan, that extra time to spend commuting. And what a great time to recalibrate. You know, maybe you've got, before you were working all the time in an office, now you're getting the feeling for what it feels like to work from home and have time to cook for yourself, healthier meals. And so what aspects of that are really working for you that you want to carry forward into this? Harlene, that's a great one. Talking with a friend that you hadn't seen for 31 years. How fulfilling is that? And that's a big one. Oh, Gina, that's a super great one. Just having extra room for compassion, permission to go at my own slower pace. Yeah. Oftentimes, and I think that's, to me, one of the big gifts for me is that I am a chronic busy girl kind of a thing. And I love it. I love the things that I do, but what a great opportunity to give myself that space to just sit and kind of do nothing. Like, who would I be if I weren't obsessively busy in my life? My body feels better when I'm eating healthy. Yeah, now we can connect. It's like, oh, wow, our bodies actually got time to give us some feedback here. It's like, you know what? We like eating like this. Can we do more of that, please? When we commune with our body, it's actually the storehouse. It's the storehouse of everything that's happened to us up until now. Our bodies know what they need to heal. So it knows what emotional junk we've stuffed into our bodies. It knows what's coming up to be healed. And just knowing that whatever is coming up is now we've got this amazing time. And this 2020 is about being able to release all this old karmic junk that we've been carrying around for eons that have been passed down, and or those emotions that we've quashed down for 10, 20, 30, 40, okay, maybe 50 years. We're carrying around all this junk. When we allow that to be processed and move out, now we can come out on the other side of this lighter, pouring some different spices and things like that. Anyways, so moving on to the next thing, what was I relieved not to have to do? This was a big one. I was in the park. I was talking to a woman, and she was like, oh, you know, she's all frustrated. On one hand, she's supposed to be going to her niece's wedding, flying out to disappointed about it. And then in the next breath, a sigh of relief, because it was just another thing she had added to her to-do list. Yes, she wants to be there and supportive of her niece, but in an overbusy world. So where are we creating our to-do lists in our lives out of the things that feel like obligation versus things that we actually want to consciously choose to add into our lives, like what actually serves us? So, and again, we don't have to give up those connections, those things that are values for us, like to be present for my family, super valuable. But now this opportunity is actually allowing us to see, wow, there's ways we can do a Zoom, you know, Easter, having all the sisters together on the line. I know Joan's doing weekly calls with their family. How cool is that? All right. Well, sadness and regret about failing during loneliness on Passover, for sure. Experience profound healing. What wonderful, Harlene. And just recognizing that stuff that's bubbling up, and then in that next moment, it gives us choice. How do we move forward with that? And again, as we move forward, here's some of the questions that deepen that. Now, looking to that new normal, what is your soul yearning for? Maybe there's aspects that we're able to experience now that we hadn't incorporated up until now. Maybe there's something completely new. There's people looking for job changes or a different balance in their job. I was working with a client who's a personal trainer, and she loves her job. She's like, I don't understand. I love what I do. And I'm like, okay, we got to look at the big picture. So we pulled it apart, we unpack it, and recognize she loves what she does, helping people live healthier. what she felt she needed to work in order to have clients. So she was available night and day for these people, when now she can make a healthier choice, create some time boundaries so that we were actually out on a bike ride together. We never had ridden together because she was always working and never had time to nurture her soul through things that are important to her, like riding the bike and that physical activity, taking care of herself. Here are some of the core questions you want to ask on this new normal. What does this look like as we move forward in relationships? Do I need to learn to communicate more openly my feelings with others? Do I need to find a loved one? What does it mean for your livelihood? Diane saying no. It works for her to be alone. So livelihood, here's my friend who's looking at a different way. We came up with some creative ideas on how she can incorporate working with groups and still do what she was doing, but also create that life balance for herself. What does this mean for your money flows? The money that you had flowing in, I know people who were making good money in their jobs, and now suddenly that's not there, or our savings, our retirement plans have kind of tanked at this moment. What meaning are we giving? What power are we giving? Because we're looking to money as our source of supply, if you will, rather than looking for our own, actually God is the infinite source of supply. But what are we doing to open this, recognizing our ability to be creative and create whatever, and resourceful moving forward to create whatever it is that we require? Are there other creative ways? Maybe people, I will be looking for a roommate at some point in time. Are there other creative ways of creating the flow that you need in your life, or the companionship? How do you want to be a contribution? Again, Diane's loving bringing food to her family and her neighbors, rather. Family, I'd welcome that too. Creative expression, are there other ways? I know some people are opening up and starting to paint again, or a friend of mine was looking to do some ceramic classes once things have moved beyond this abnormal stage that we're in. But ultimately, how do we find meaning? How do we find fulfillment? What matters most in our life? And here's one of the keys to happiness, that it's so simple that we forget. When we create something that matters, and all we need for happiness is to be making progress towards that goal. So it doesn't even have to be fast progress, but when we begin to take active steps and we're recognizing ourselves for the steps that we're creating, it actually creates fulfillment and happiness in our lives. So something pretty simple, but core to creating happiness. Here's a simple question. Amidst all the craziness right now, oops, I'll keep her on the outside for now. Anyways, what can I get excited about right now? Today, right now, progress again equals fulfillment. And then how can this turn out far better than we can possibly even imagine? Oftentimes, up until now, we've been looking for ways in which we're recreating the old normal, but we're not going back there. How can this turn out even more exceptional than it has been up until now? And then here's a big one. Because we're moving into this world of uncertainty, this is one of the core skills we'll get to, is how to create and self-source certainty rather than looking outside of ourselves for sources of certainty. How do we find that within ourselves? And to me, one of the best things we can do is surround ourselves with others who are like-minded, who understand our goals, who understand who we are, and will support us in that vision, will support us even when we're having off days and we're feeling lack of motivation, because progress isn't going to be a straight line up the mountain. It's going to look like this over time. And so one of the best ways we can do that is surround ourselves with those people who also have those great expectations for possibilities. Bubba. Yeah, and again, that's what my program, the LaFence Salam, is all about, is surrounding ourselves in a very high vibe tribe. Dude, so there's somebody coming up behind the house. I'm going to mute myself for just a second.
Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Okay, I just had to mute myself because Kiefer's, opening up possibilities for playmates for himself behind the house. So anyways, that's one of the important things, is to consider who is in your world that's an uplifter for you. Not everybody is, and that's okay. And we don't want to exclude them necessarily from our lives. You might want to limit your exposure to them, but you do want to have those core confidants in your life that love and support you, regardless of how you're showing up, how the progress is going, but who understand your vision and what you're looking to become. So that's kind of it for, one moment, please. Oh, and so I just wanted to invite you all to, anyone who's interested, whoops. My program is coming up, La Femme Salon. It's a 10-week program to find your fire, freedom, and fulfillment is the core for that. It's an opportunity for us to step into that divine feminine way of being that's asking to be expressed right now, which is coming from our intuition, our self-sourcing, our confidence from within, acknowledging the powerful woman that we all are, based on our past, those imperfect pasts that we've had up until now, actually honoring and loving all the crash and burns that we've had up until now, so that we can come into this space of flow. And these are the outcomes for it, to really get grounded in your core value and worthiness, understand and come into a higher relationship with your body, release the things that no longer serve you, so that you can then clear the path for what is calling you, what purpose you want to bring into your life next, and to be in action, keeping ourselves in that flow, creating that momentum to bring that new vision into the world. We had a delightful first group. I had 3 wonderful ladies that had super powerful results in that last time, my first time around, and this will be the second one, even more into it this time around. So that's the invitation. I again, just, this is an option for you guys. I really wanted to share some of the tools and techniques and just give you the hope and inspiration, knowing that there's infinite possibilities available to us right now. Ground in yourself, knowing yourself to be the source of creation. Keep yourself in that higher perspective of opportunity, and knowing that we can move forward with good stuff. It's right around the corner for us. So not every day is going to be that bright, shiny day, but get clear on that vision. Allow yourself the time to sit with it and open up to what it is you really want, because it is possible, and there are ways of getting there. So anyways, I would like to have you guys, I'm going to stop the share and have you guys unmute your lines if there's any questions you wanted to ask, or anyone?
I just want to say that you look extra beautiful today, Kathy.
Oh,
I've never seen you look this beautiful. So whatever you're doing is really showing. And I hate the way I look on these things.
Go on.
All of my, anyway, I look better than that.
That is so Peter, muting. Thank you.
Well, I can't wait to start La Femme Salon. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we start this Thursday. I'm so excited to work with you too. What I love about the ladies that show up is that they are all ready to just, like, they've done the work. They've got lots of tools already. And what we do is just weave it together, hold the space for you to dream bigger than you have before, and just start taking steps towards that. But I think some of the magic that happens is celebrating those little things that happen. And one of the core affirmations or just celebrations we use is, it's happening. So all those little things that happen, when we acknowledge those, what we look for, where we put our focus, shows, where you focus, where your attention goes, your energy flows. Essentially what we're putting out there, we literally have a reticular activating system in the brain that actually starts to look for the very things that it is that we're looking for. So if you're looking for things to be fearful about, you can find that in what La Femme Salon is about, holding that space of only affirming, looking for that positive thing that we're all calling into our lives. So yeah, it's super fun. It's super fun. So Gina,
Can't wait.
Yeah. Awesome. Is it anything else? Check that real quick and see, but I think that's it. Oh, Harlene wrote a poem. A friend of mine wrote a poem too, so it's a different way to express our creativity.
Is
So
she
awesome.
going to share it?
What?
Will you share it with us?
Oh, I certainly would. I'm trying to think of where it is. I'd have to go back to my computer.
Okay. The next call.
Yeah,
I would be happy to. Yes.
maybe you can email it to me and I'll share it with the people who are on the line.
I will do. Do I have your email? I'm not sure I have your email.
I'll email you.
Yeah.
So
And I
easy.
just wanted to say that Kathy and I met through Year of Miracles, a year-long course that we're taking, your Year of Miracles, and I just can't afford to do your class now. I could trade some art if you want, if you're open to doing a trade, because I love your work, Kathy. I think you do a wonderful job. And I used to do workshops, so I'm coming from having done some similar things years ago.
Yeah, well, we'll chat. Okay. Awesome. Well,
Where are all these other people from? Are you, that's your sister, right?
yeah, my
Diane? And where do you live?
I live in Boca Raton, Florida.
Oh, I'm from Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, many years ago. And then the gal here, user 1, there's no name.
I'm Leah Weibel, and I have not been able to figure out how to change the user one. I'm technologically incompetent, and that's how the computer came with the user one. And I don't know, but I'm Leah. I'm Leah Weibel. I'm in Denver.
Oh, you are. Hi.
Yeah, she's a
I'm
gifted.
in Lakewood. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a gifted naturopath and does iridology, and she's a master healer. So,
Marvelous. Wow.
really want to know. And two of my friends, Kirsten is on the line. She's
hiding.
a baby, so she's got lots of recalibrations having.
Oh.
I was hoping she'd share the screen a little bit, so we might have a photo bomb from her kiddo.
Oh, I'd like to see the baby.
Babies.
So, and